Let's face it, dads. Bedtime can feel like a war zone, whether you're putting your kids in bed or back in bed for the 5th time or the 100th time. There's just something about having a long day at the office, coming home, getting through the night, getting to bedtime, and it just being this battle of trying to get them to go to bed. It sounds like such a simple idea. But man, those years between like 2 and 5, it can just feel like just go to bed. But what I'm here to talk about tonight is some way that you can change it up. I've been doing this probably for at least 6 years with my oldest daughter, and my other 2 kids have some form of this, but at a different maturity level. And I call it Bedtime Talk. So I've created an intentional time at bedtime where each kid gets one-on-one time. Now, I've tried this in a couple different ways, and it's better when it's one-on-one. When it's together, the energy kind of just magnifies, and sometimes one crazy kid at bedtime can affect the other kids. So do it on one-on-one is what I've learned. And what I've learned through Bedtime Talk is creating a space at bedtime where you can rehash the day, whether it be the good stuff that your kid did that you just want to acknowledge, like, I'm really proud of how you overcame X challenge that happened during the day. Or 2, can we talk about what happened earlier today? I'd like to talk about how we could maybe do something different. What could I do differently to help you get through that trying time? Maybe it was behavior, maybe it was a choice, maybe it was a word choice. Whatever may happen, it's a great way to rehash something that didn't go well. And then also, it allows you as a chance where maybe when you didn't show up in the way that you wanted, and you can apologize. Apologizing to your kids at bedtime creates this safe space for them to realize that dad makes mistakes too. And then as time goes on and you keep repeating this, they will also learn that they've made mistakes. Now, that component takes a little bit longer, and I've just started to notice it with my oldest daughter, where she'll come down maybe like even 20 minutes after something happened and say, Dad, I'm sorry of how I handled something. Like, it's really starting to click. And it's starting to show where she's having that inner self-reflection about her own decisions. And that's just from repetition through Bedtime Talk. It's the point where my daughter comes home from school. She's had some type of issue, whether it be boys, whether it be just playground issues. And she's like, Dad, I need bedtime talk. Are you having a meeting tonight, or are you available tonight? And I'd be like, nope, we can talk. Or if I do have something going on at night, I always make time during dinner or when I'm making dinner, like, hey, let's talk about what we need to talk about. This bedtime talk is one of the things that I think has really allowed me to have a better connection with my oldest daughter. My son, who's 6, we are just starting to get into this area where we can talk about different things going to the playground. He's in 1st grade, so the life problems, the things being negotiated on the playground aren't that real. And also, I think from the boys' perspective, we don't emotionally get involved on the playground as much. So it's a different dichotomy there as well. But for him, there are different times where I talk about a lesson. I talk about vocabulary like responsibility. These different things, and I use bedtime as a way to teach them those things as well. My youngest daughter, who's 4, for her, this just shows up with telling jokes and rehashing through the day, or a lot of times it's just me showing praise for something that she did, how I'm super proud that she overcame that, or I'm super proud of how she went through a situation with a neighbor friend. Whatever it may be, this is this time where you can reuse it. And also, forgetting one of the easiest things you can do during this time is just read a book. I often find a different book, and sometimes it's the same book. Unfortunately, as a dad, you got to keep repeating the same book over and over, especially if the kids like it. But just reading one-on-one with each individual kid just creates an extra connection and a bond. I remember probably like 2 years ago, so my son would have been 4 or 5, and we would be reading a book, and he would just cuddle up and like slide in under my arm. Like, he wanted to feel that close connection with me. And we created that at bedtime. And we have had bad bedtime nights, but I would say they're far and few between. And there's a couple things that I've had to realize through the process of this whole thing, especially when you've already come downstairs, because we have a 2-story house, and you're sitting down, you're relaxing for the night, and they say, Daddy, can you tuck me in again? And you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to relax. Why won't you go to sleep? Someone gave me this perspective, and I'll give it to you, that one day it's going to be all over, It'll be the very last time they ask you to be tucked in one more time, and you'll never know when it was the last time. And I've heard many dads say after hearing this advice or they experience it, well, if someone would have told me that was the last time they were going to ask for help on this, I would have paid attention. I would have been there. I would have took notes. I would have took a picture maybe. But you never get that kind of warning with being a dad. Just like that, one single day, they could grow up on something and it's gone. They don't need you on that thing anymore. So my mindset through those early years was, it doesn't matter whether it's 3 or 4, I always just kind of lean in because there's going to be a time when the kids are older and we're dealing with an entirely different set of problems. And I'm going to say in my head, it was just easier when I had to go upstairs one more time and tuck it in. Even though in the moment, those times can feel like, man, they just are a drag. I want you to remember, no one's going to tell you when it's the last time. And whether it be the conversations that you're having at bedtime through Bedtime Talk or just the time intentionally that you put into bedtime, it's going to be gone one day and you're never going to know. But there's going to be a day when that's the only thing that you want back and you're going to wish that you were more present. And I'll be back with you tomorrow.